All right, interview 317. All right, first question. What is your definition of the term a system? So, what is a system?
A system is probably something that has different parts that work together.
Okay.
I think.
Great. Yeah, that sounds good. So the reason I ask, in geology, sometimes we think about the Earth as like a system. So if we think of the Earth as a system, what do you think are some of the parts that make up the Earth?
Probably biotic and abiotic components.
Mm-hmm.
So like rocks,
Mm-hmm.
weather, animals, water.
Uh-huh.
Like the Earth itself.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, well, I took geology. So I guess core, mantle, stuff
yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's great. That's great. So I'm going to ask you about some elements that are common on Earth that have different purposes. So the first one I want to ask you about is carbon. So where on Earth can you find carbon?
In everything.
Okay, so a lot of things have it. Why do you think it's such an abundant element?
I think it's like the building block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of other things. Cool. So I know you said it's in everything. What are some things in particular that you think, wow, that has a lot of carbon in it, or carbon's a really important component of that?
I think like diamonds.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
They've been talking about different ways to collect carbon and like press it down.
Yeah.
Coal.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Different fossil fuels, stuff like that. Us humans. Yeah, pretty much everything.
Yeah. Great. So we talk about carbon. We talk a lot of times about like the carbon cycle, or how carbon moves from like form to form. What are some of the processes that come to mind when you think of the carbon cycle?
Oh wow. Let's see. Carbon cycle. I guess burning fossil fuels.
Okay.
Is
Cool.
one that I can think of.
Okay.
Decomposing.
Okay.
Maybe decomposition. I don't know.
Cool. So when you burn fossil fuels, you're moving carbon from one place to the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
So what's the ultimate source of the carbon in most fossil fuels, do you think?
Atoms from dead things.
Okay, so dead things.
Yeah.
Okay, so carbon from things that have died and been buried. Okay, cool. So how do living things, you said carbon's in everything, how do living things get their carbon?
Oh. Well, I know we breathe it out. I guess it's... I know we use the oxygen, and then we breathe everything else out, but I don't know how else.
Okay, so where that carbon comes from that we're breathing out. Any ideas?
No.
Okay. Cool, no, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about nitrogen next.
Okay.
So where can we find nitrogen?
In the soil, I think in there. From lightning, probably in us.
So is there a biological use of nitrogen then?
I know it's needed for plants and nutrients.
Okay.
To grow in the soil.
Cool. So there is a nitrogen cycle. How do plants get their nitrogen?
I know one way is fertilizer, another's lightning. Don't know the other one.
Okay. So fertilizer, so I'm assuming they're getting it then from the soil then,
Yeah.
since you apply fertilizer there. Okay, cool, so they can get it from fertilizer, soil, stuff like that. If lightning's producing nitrogen, how are the plants getting that, do you think?
Lightning strikes.
Okay.
The ground. I would just
So near the ground. Okay, cool. How do you think nitrogen gets to the soil?
Well, I don't know. Either it's placed there by humans or it was there
Okay, so it's
naturally.
Okay, cool. So the last element I want to ask you about is phosphorus. Yeah, that's the big most people make. So any ideas where you might be able to find phosphorus?
Phosphorus. So that's kind of like a strange smell, right?
Okay.
Am I making that up? No, it's in rocks. That's really all I know.
Okay, cool. Do living things need phosphorus like they need carbon and nitrogen?
I guess so, but I've never learned about that.
Okay.
Eating it.
Cool. So if they need phosphorus, how do you think they get it? So like living things can like, if you're like a plant, you can either like pull it out of the air or like pull it up through your roots. If you're an animal, you can like eat or breathe, or some animals can like absorb it. What do you think is the most likely way things get phosphorus?
Probably plants absorbing it from
Okay.
the soil, and then
Okay.
maybe it just kind of gets transferred up the food chain.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so of those elements, carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus, can you think of any environmental issues associated with any of those elements?
I know with nitrogen there's been like an overuse of it in fertilizers, and it's rooting the waterways. Carbon, too much in the atmosphere. But we're also running out of fossil fuels. Don't really know anything about phosphorus though.
Cool. So, how does nitrogen ruin like water? What's happening there?
It
What do you think?
causes, I think, a lot of the algae to bloom, overbloom, and then it creates just kind of like a biofilm on the top of the water, which sucks out all the oxygen and blocks sunlight, and as a result kills fish and other marine life.
Great. Well, not great, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And why is carbon in the atmosphere a bad thing?
I think it's creating holes in the ozone,
Okay.
which as a result is well, it's also trapping. I think it's trapping heat, or I can't made that up.
Okay. Great. So we're gonna do now what we call the arts and crafts portion.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you a piece of paper and ask you to draw out kind of your version of the carbon cycle. And as you draw, just kind of narrate what you're doing.
Okay.
Remember, it's not a test, so just whatever you think.
Okay, so I guess there's carbon in the air. We'll make that a cloud, I guess. I don't know. But how does it get there? Okay, well then I know there's carbon in the ground that came from pressurized. No, they're from like dead things. Okay, so we'll just draw like he's dead, and now he's going into the ground. Right, R.I.P. Just to be clear. And then carbon. That's the areas are pressure. I don't know. Maybe somebody digs it up.
Okay.
Okay, I don't really know how to draw that, but that's a shovel.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's see. Somebody's burning it then. Why not? That's supposed to be fire. And then it goes in the air. But we don't know how it goes out of the air.
Okay.
Or I guess we would breathe in it. Well, plants, there we go.
Okay.
So then plants absorb it
Let's take it out. Okay.
and then release the oxygen, but that's not part of the carbon
Okay.
cycle.
Cool. Cool. So why do plants pull carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere?
It's a nutrient that they need, I think.
Okay. So they pull it out as like a nutrient, something they need to grow.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. So, it's more fun.
Oh no.
Take a stab at the nitrogen cycle.
Okay. Let's see. So, where's plants? And they need nitrogen, which is in the soil. It's also in the air. And then lightning. That's a really bad lightning bolt. Oh gosh, I drew that really far up. But it's the ground. Puts it in the soil. That's pretty much all I know about the nitrogen cycle. I know there's a lot more,
Cool. Okay, yeah, that's good. And the last one. Phosphorus.
but oh no. Okay. Okay, well it's in rocks.
Okay,
I
cool.
think I could be making that up. Well, I would assume it's just in the atmosphere like everything else, but it's probably wrong. Yeah, I think it's really all I know.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's good. No, don't be sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a little scene here and ask you anything in that picture you think has phosphorus, nitrogen, or carbon. Put a C, an N, or a P. And you can just kind of narrate again as you go.
Okay.
If you don't think it has any, you don't have to put something in it.
Okay. So the tree, I would guess, has all of them.
Okay.
The rabbit probably has all of them, I would guess, because it's eating the plants that have all of them. I feel like everything has it. Everything, but I could be wrong. So soil has it. Stream would have it. The rain would have everything. Well, yeah, I don't know about carbon. The air, I'm guessing, has everything. Here's the clouds. Like rain, so it would have. And the sun, I know has carbon, but I don't know if it now has nitrogen, but I don't know if it has phosphorus. Okay, that's
Okay,
nice.
cool. So now, anytime you think there's a process that might move one or more of those from one place to the other, go ahead and draw an arrow. And if you can name that process, go ahead and name it too.
Okay. I would say carbon's going from the air to the tree. Should I label a C? Okay. And then it's going, I'd say nitrogen and carbon are going to the rabbit.
Okay. And what process would that be?
Digestion.
Okay, so just eating it, yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Soil going to the tree.
Okay.
Probably as all three.
Okay.
What else? Yeah, I can't really think. I don't really remember those cycles very well.
Okay, no, that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's all I could think of.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good.